Hi, and welcome back to the Knitting Concierge. It's been a little bit of time. Just to catch you up, I spent the last 2 years getting a master's degree. I have left my regular job as an early childhood education disability coordinator, and now work full-time visiting visually impaired children here in Florida in the southeast quadrant. And I got my knitting mojo back. So in those last couple of years, I haven't done much. A couple of socks that I never completed. I was really busy. But I'm back, and I have begun knitting with a vengeance. So I just wanted to check back in with you all, tell you that the Knitting Concierge is back, and let's get started. So to kick off my knitting extravaganza, let me tell you a little story. So I left my full-time insurance job, with a solid paycheck and everything at the end of May. It just became untenable for me. So my mental health was worth more than the money that it provided. So I now work part-time, about 30 hours a week, if you consider that part-time, working with the visually impaired, visiting children in their homes. So I wanted to kick off my knitting. So what I did was I saw that Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks, was going to offer up test knitting for one of her new sweaters. And I was luckily chosen, and I kind of fixed it because I was going to make this sweater for my husband. So it needed to be one of the larger sizes. And I'm going to tell you, I knew that it would be easier to get into a test knit if I knit one of the larger sizes. So I wanted to get this, and I wanted to knit it out of some of the things I already had in my stash. Well, because I was knitting for my husband, not one of the millions of yarn, skeins of yarn, or the colors of yarn, or any of the yarns did I have enough of the two colorways of the body colorway, the main color, to do it with. And of course, he decided that he wanted it to be dark on light. Now, I had enough if it was going to be dark, and then the contrasting color was going to be light. I had that. But I made the mistake of asking him what he would like. Oops. So I needed to go. We were going to be going away for a month. I decided that we were going to celebrate by adding an extra week to our vacation, which we always take 3 weeks in the summer. And we were going to be gone for 28 days. So I said, I'm going to knit this large, size 9, 68-inch chest sweater in 28 days. Yes, you heard that correct. And I did not have the yarn for it yet, and we were leaving in like 4 days. I'm like, okay. So I stopped. I got a big thing in my brain. I said, I'm going to stop at this local yarn store called Yarn and More. It's in Jupiter, Florida. And I came in and I said, listen, I want some cream color yarn that will go with this color And I said, and I want it to be sort of a worsted Aran weight because she used it at a 16 to 4 inches gauge. So we ended up with, where's my yarn? We ended up with Cascade Superwash, 128 Superwash in the bulky weight, and it worked for me. I just used a smaller needle with that. I think I did the whole thing on a size 8 needle, and I used Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the color Nest colorway, and now is what I will show you. Oops, it's huge. Look at this. It's huge. But she just released it, and she knit it out of Mungo. So I did the best I could here. And John loves it. He thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread because he finally got a sweater from his knitter wife who's been knitting for like 15 years and has only given him socks and has bought yarn for 3 male sweaters and not knit 0. I've knit 0 of them. So I knew that if I had a test knit, that this would be the one that I would make for John. And it was in the collar. This one is now out. It's called Bergman. She named it after Ingrid Bergman from Casablanca. And so I'm like, and it gives me like sort of a Nordic vibe type thing going on. So it's got the top here. That's the yoke. And like I said, this is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in Nest. So this is a non-superwash. And I have mixed it with a superwash. So we're going to, this is an experiment, people. It's an experiment. But I love the yoke. I think it's easily, if you've ever knit a guy sweater or have a pattern for a guy sweater, what I did was I had the pattern for the male sweater for Savin from Wool & Co. Wool & Co. I think it is, where Forge and Weld come from. Anyway, they make such, oh my God, their patterns are so awesome. If you have not seen them, and if you are into just luscious, knitty, warm sweaters, I highly recommend them. Oh, anyway. Oh, and their pattern support is on target. I tell you that. So I knit this, and I wanted to knit it for a man. Well, the pattern is written for a woman. So what I had to do was I'm already knitting at size 68. So I measured a t-shirt that I thought fit John very well and was a little oversized for him and would fit well so that if he wanted to wear something underneath this, that he could. So I started knitting that, and I'm thinking, and it says to knit until you have so many inches in the yoke, etc. And then I referenced the pattern for Savin, and I noticed that the yoke was a bit farther down. I think it was 15 inches. So what I did was, in the pattern for the Bergman, she said to knit until it reached 12 inches. Well, it was already 12 inches with the full yoke. So I knitted an additional 3 inches of just stockinette in the main color to give it to 15. Then I split for sleeves. And then it said to knit for, I think it was, I don't know, 12 inches, 14 inches, something like that. But it's kind of a croppy sweater. It's not one that hangs down over your hips or anything. And I knew that's not going to work for John. He likes his things to be where he can raise his arms up and no bits hang out. I'm on board with that. I do not want any bits hanging out when I raise up my hands. Okay? So I knit the sweater as long as his t-shirt. So what I did was I knit it until about 18 inches. And then it said there was going to be 1.5 inches of the bottom color work. And then it was going to have about 1.5 inches of ribbing. Well, I decided to make my ribbing a little bit wider because it's a big sweater, and I felt that the ribbing, if it was only 1.5 inches or so, it was going to be kind of skimpy. So I knit it to be about 2.5, a little over 2.5 inches. Really, I just knit it until I really got bored and just could not knit any more ribbing. So, and then I used a sewn bind off that I always use, that I learned from Kay Jones from a Bakery Bear, and from the Bakery Bears. And so I just love the way that it's just a lovely sewn bind off. It's stretchy. I use it for my socks too. So I don't bind off in Jenny's surprisingly stretchy or anything. I literally get out a needle and I pull out the yarn and I sew the binding closed. And then I started my sleeves. And I only had like a week left of vacation. Literally, people, I started this on the 3rd or 4th of August. And it took me 3 weeks to knit this. All of that. The yoke, the body, everything. And in between, I was going snorkeling and we went all over the place because we were in an island called Dominica, which is in the Lesser Antilles. And it is in between Guadeloupe, which is on top, and Martinique, which is on the bottom. So there's Guadeloupe, Dominica, and then Martinique. And so I was there and we were like going snorkeling at least every other day. So for 3-4 hours at a time. And then, there's an island life and dinners with friends and things like that. Because now we've been there 3 times and we have friends there. And we just really, really like the island. It is very relaxing and very friendly. And I don't want to tell you all that it's all so wonderful and you should go because then I don't want it to be overcrowded. We go specifically in off season in August when it's, time for hurricanes and stuff, which we did. We had a tropical depression pass over us. And it turned into a hurricane later, but for someone else, but not for us. So that was fun. But on the other hand, while it was doing that business, I was knitting. So I got a day of knitting. So every time that it rained, I would pull out my knitting and just knit. So then I knit the sleeves. Now the sleeves took me about 2 days a piece. And I'm actually quite pleased with my sleeves because I had to, the sleeves were knit for a woman. So we have shorter arms. and our arms are smaller. And I needed them to be, bigger. So it did help that I went down and I measured the t-shirt arm width hole. And I made sure that that armhole from the shoulder to here was the right, was good. And then I looked at I referenced the pattern of 7 to change the length of the arm for a man. And I think I went down to 17 inches, if I remember correctly, 17 inches. And then I did the little 1/2 inch of color work here. And then I knit 1.5 inches or so of ribbing. And it took me 2 days. 2 days to do it. Now, was I knitting all day? No, I was not. I was enjoying myself. I was on vacation. So, yes. And okay. Just so you know, I am an old movie fanatic. I love the 1940s and 50s movies. I just love and adore those old movies, right? So I'm sitting up in the middle of the night because I'm on vacation. I can sit up all night if I want to. I don't have to get up at any particular time. And I was watching on my laptop old movies from YouTube for free and was knitting away. And what I did was I made sure that I moved down. It had a certain decrease, and I did increase the lines between the decreases. I think I was doing 4 rows for every decrease until it got down to this section right here. So that is the story of this sweater. It's now called the Bergman by Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks. And I'm really, really excited about it. It really kick-started a little bit of a cold weather little knit along for me. So I had decided that I was going to come back and knit my Lunenburg, because I have a kit from Barrett Wool Co. that I had bought during the pandemic. And then I had to go back to work, and so my knitting got put on hold and I put the stuff away. And then I started grad school, and then there you go. I didn't knit it. I was going to knit that one because I really, really want that sweater. But I couldn't find it, and I have it all tucked away, and well, we're not going to go into my knitting studio at the moment because it's full of other stuff. Crap. So I got to what I could get to. And in 2021, yes, 21, it was the height of the pandemic, and it was summer, and we wanted to go on a vacation. But we decided we were going to stay in the United States, but we were going to rent a house like we normally do. But we're going to rent a place, and we went to Vermont, one of our very favorite states to go to. And I was doing the laundry in town because the house we rented was a little tiny house and it didn't have a laundry. So we went into town to do laundry and get groceries and things like that. So John, being the plant person he is, we stopped off at a nursery, and inside the nursery, get this, were racks of yarn. I felt like I was in Europe. at the grocery store buying yarn. It was at literally a plant nursery and garden shop, and in there was yarn. And they had a whole bunch of different colors of Letlopi. And I knew that the Triesta from Knit Love Wool, I think it is. Hold on, let me pull. Yes, Knit Love Wool, Jennifer Steinkass, was the Triesta, this one right here. There's a better picture of it later on with somebody wearing it. Was made out of Letlopi. Right? And she had all these colors of Letlopi. And I was like, Letlopi? I know I need that. So I pulled up on my phone because I have the ability to do that because, you know, the internet's. And I got enough Letlopi to make the sweater. And I'm pulling it out of a bag. Oh, by the way, this lovely bag, made out of Harrison tweed, I do believe, has a canvas bottom and lovely split leather long handle so you can put it over your shoulder and carry it. It's huge. Huge, I tell you. I've got 2 sweater projects in here and a couple of hat projects in here that because I had gone to Marco Island and I just put my knitting inside there. That way I could knit in the car and when we got to the hotel. So I started knitting this sweater. So here we go. Here's the main color. And I don't speak Icelandic, so I cannot help you. But it's Letlopi. And look, $5.99 for each 50 gram skein. Now, I have no idea how much Letlopi costs anywhere else. But I jumped on this like white on rice. I thought this was the best deal ever. And I could be wrong, but I bought it. And I bought enough to make me a sweater. And so this is this lovely little kind of creamy, tannish, ecru kind of color. The colorway number, I do not know. Oh, 270. 270 is what it's called, 270. And then I got this lovely green. Oh, look, it kind of goes with my walls. It's kind of a sagey, dusky green. And I don't know why. Here we go. I save all my tags until the end usually. This one here is kind of a mulberry color, kind of a lovely aubergine colorway. And the number for, no, it can't be 270 because that's something else. Oh, maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Those are the numbers right there. 1418 8693. Yeah, maybe. But anyway, these are the colors that I'm knitting with. And these are so my wheelhouse, I cannot even tell you. I am a jewel tone girl. I really do like jewel tones. I don't particularly care for pastels. So all you'll find from me is like these really luscious, deep, rich colors. These are a little bit toned down. They're more earthy in their color. And when you touch Letlopi, it kind of feels kind of rough. So this is another experiment. Oh, and I forgot the gold color. So these are the 3 colors. of the color work, and this is the main color. Yeah. So I am knitting on this, and I have it all set up. And as you can see, I'm absolutely smitten with this. Smitten so much that you cannot even imagine. I just absolutely adore this. I just I love it. I'm knitting a size 44. I'm knitting a size 5 on this one, which is a size 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a 44.5. I want it to, it says that recommended ease is 2 to 4. So I kind of want it to be a closer fitting garment. I don't want too much there. If I do wear something under it, it'd just be a t-shirt like this one. I'm hoping that once it gets a bath, that the Let Lopi sort of gets a little less prickly. I'd love to hear your comments on that. So, but that's a work in progress. But it's been put to the side because I am putting this aside because I had the distinct honor of being able to do another test back to back. Caitlin Hunter is just plowing them out. She is going to town on making patterns. And so this, I had seen this one. I had seen this pattern. She had been showing it a couple of times. And she made it with Spin Cycle. And I did too. I chose that as my contrasting color. This sweater, this colorwork sweater. And now this is in test knit, so I can't really show you too much. But this here, I just love it. You've seen a couple of pictures. I don't think it's too bad because you've seen a couple of these pictures on Ravelry and, well, on the Instagrams. If you follow Caitlin Hunter, you've seen this sweater top. And it's in test knitting now. I have until the end of the month, plus a couple of days maybe, to finish the test knit. And I just finished the yoke. And then now in the body. It is a full body color work sweater. So everywhere is got color work. So yeah. So I'm doing this part. So I did this, and then you do this blip chart, which is the stuff in the body. So your yoke, and then there's this blip chart, which continues some color work down into the body. And you do that, and until, and I'm not going to tell you anymore, but I'll be splitting for sleeves very, very soon. Like as in, I forgot to look. So I might be past that already. I was just going to town knitting the colors. I was just so fascinated with the color changes inside this one. And I decided to go from the inner ball of this one because it had already, the spin cycle had already gone from this bright kind of goldish, very autumnal colorway, and it was fading into a more bluish one, It had some blues in it. And my one on the inside is like a gold and blue and yellow type of thing. And so I started to come from this way. I could have started with this one. It was just happened to be the ball that I had wound up, the second ball. And so I pulled from the center, not from the out. So when I get to this part here, it'll be very interesting. But this one is callback or close call in Spin Cycle Dream State, which is their worsted weight. And I tell you, the people at Four Pearls here in Winter Haven, Florida, I consider them my local yarn shop. Because yes, I have some yarn shops that are closer, but they tend to carry a lot more workhorse yarn and not any of the more indulgent yarns, I should say, because this is definitely indulgent at $36 for 50 grams. And I needed 5. I'm just saying. Now for the body, I already had that in hand. I'm using an old stash of Quince & Co. Lark in the Cypress colorway. So I'm using the Cypress colorway. And I have loved Quince & Co.'s yarns. I was so sad when I think they went away, didn't they? Or somebody else bought them. But anyway, I do have quite a bit of this. I have Lark, I have Chickadee, I have, I think I even had some Owl, though. So this is a work in progress that will be getting worked on every day. And so I had to put away my Triesta. Then the only reason I cast on the Triesta, I was waiting for the Spin Cycle to come. And we were going to go away for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we were leaving on Friday and coming back on Monday, a long weekend. And I was going to Marco Island for a training for my work. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? My husband was going with me. And yay, okay, great. But what am I going to do in the evenings when I'm not in training? So I picked up this sweater. I had already gotten it down. I didn't have to do any ball winding. It's already comes in actual center pull balls. And so I was like, okay, I'm just throwing this all into the bag because it was in a bag. And I threw it into my Tanny Casey bag that I got at Cakapalooza last year. I love this bag. I got 2 of these bags. I got it at Cakapalooza last year when we went to Rhinebeck. So yeah, during that fiasco. Cakapalooza, awesome. They have some of the best vendors, and it is in a parking lot. And yes, it's awesome. So go there. And I see that Indie Untangled is now back and raring to go. So that's awesome. And let me put away some of this other stuff. On the way over to Marco Island, I knit this hat. It is made out of knit spin wool. She is a self-striper. I belong to her monthly club, and this was one of the club colorways. I can't remember which one. Maybe I It's probably in there. Anyway, I knit this hat on the way over and finished it, I think the first night I was there to make that. And I'm going to get a cute little pom-pom to go with it. So that was something else I did. This, I get 2 skeins of yarn every month from Knit Spin Farm, and she sends me usually a Targhee sport weight sock, and that I use to make socks out of for my husband, and a DK weight, and I use the DK weight to make this hat, and it worked wonderfully. I think this hat is 100 stitches, and I just made it up myself. I knit until I was tired of knitting. I think this one was 3x1 rib. That was an experiment if I liked it or not. I usually either do a 2x2 or a 1x1 rib, and I use a twisted rib as well. I use a German twisted cast on, so it's nice and stretchy. I use that also cast on for my socks when I make them top down, and which is always what I do. So anymore, I just make them top down, and I like, because I really, really like the way the German twisted rib is very elasticy. So that was that. So that was the things that I've got going on. I've got another hat, but it's in the other room. So I'm not going to go get it. Then I wanted to tell you some acquisitions I got. As we're on Knit Spin Farm, the Knit Spin Farm came, and I belong to their, the yarn club. There's a nature and a farm one. I think they go back and forth. And this one is the newest one here. This is the Targhee Sport. And I get the extra heel toe cuff here in Targhee Sport. And I also get it in the DK. And it's her Targhee Sport is 90% superwash Targhee and 10% nylon, and this is called Don't Touch. It's and she sends you a little card, and she says, I've been wanting to dye this colorway since Bill pointed out some greenbrier berries on a winter walk. Some of those plants are toxic when eaten, greenbrier or nightshade, and others are irritating to touch, nettle and poison ivy. Jewelweed is neither, but has a gorgeous orange flower, and its common name is Touch Me Not, refers to the seed pods that explode when touched. Jimsonweed is both toxic to eat and has pointy seed pods that get stuck in your sheep wool. Grr, she says. Thanks for being in the yarn club. There she is. So this is one of my very favorite yarn clubs. Every once in a while there's a colorway that I'm like, no, that's not for me. But luckily I have a friend who's in the club too, and she is exactly the opposite. If I love the yarn, I know I can call up to Lainey and say, Lainey, I bet you hate the colorway this month. And she goes, yes. And I'm like, I'll switch you. So the ones that I don't like generally have a lot of pink in them or something like that. I don't mind a little pink because some of this has some pink in it. But pink is not a color. I'm just too pink. So she trades with me, and every once in a while she trades back and forth. So I just kept this in the bag for right now. It's destined to become a pair of socks and something else. I don't know. And the other thing I got, so I had at 4 Pearls, I was up there for a training in, I think it was March or April, and they had the book. Somebody had purchased this book, the last one they had. And so they got this one in for me. It's the Grand Shetland Adventure Knits by Gudrun Johnson and Mary Jane Mucklestone. And both of them are having a little moment at the time, at this moment. And they are just awesome, awesome. And since I really, really adore knitting with those toothy Shetland type yarns, and the color work that they make, I had bought this book. And I'll tell you what, I've already used the book, because right in the very front, it tells you the directions to make one left to make one right. I cannot remember for the life of me how to make which way is the left one, or which one is left and which one is right. When you go into the front and when do you come into the back, and which, I'm just like, so I sat there for the first couple of rows on the sweater that I'm making for the secret test knit, making a lot of lefts and rights. And so I had the book open and I had gone through the book. I had just carefully gone through the book thinking, oh my God, I want to make that, and I want to make that, and I want to make that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. I mean, I want this. It's called the Peary Shop Cardi. I'm like, Pearies are flowers, if I remember correctly, from in the language. There's just so many lovely, lovely. Look at this vest. Oh, and this vest here, it's a vest. The vest is called the Island to Island vest. And one of the grocery girls just made this. And she used a kind of pinkish reddish tones. And she used Sonder yarn. And I'm like, and it's steeked. So the neck hole, the sleeves are all steeked. So it's just knit, and then you have to cut your yarn. And if you use a good Shetland yarn, you don't need to do anything else to it. If I remember, this one is, the materials are a sport weight yarn, and they used Nash Island Tide, which is a Maine Island wool, 100% Maine Island wool in it, and that's going to be jumping on my needles, probably with maybe some arbor. I know it's fingering weight, but I do have some. I have some Swans Island, I think, in sport as well, but maybe I'll just have to go shopping. I'm just saying. But I had ordered this, and I said I was going to pick it up because I wanted a reason to go back to the store, because it's 3 hours away from my house. So I said, keep it. Well, they sent it to me with my yarn, with my Dream State. And the other thing that I had ordered was a little advent calendar that I just like being able to open the doors every day and find a little surprise inside. And I didn't want to order another yarn advent calendar because I haven't used any of the yarn advent calendars that I've ever had. So I got this one. This one is from Firefly Notes, and it is a stitch marker and progress marker advent calendar. So there are, I think, 5 progress keepers, and it says 5 progress keepers and 20 round stitch markers. And it was rather inexpensive. I think it was like $70 maybe. And it was a lot less expensive than a yarn advent calendar to open up. So this is the one I got for this year, and so they sent it to me too. I kind of don't want to open it. I just love the fox and the birds and stuff. I'm like, ah. So that was something I got. Also, since you knew I'd gone to Dominica, they have a place in Dominica where the blind adults and I guess older teenagers have make a little bit of a living making baskets and other woven products. They make mats and baskets and purses and trivets and all different kinds of things. But I went there specifically because I work with the visually impaired and I wanted to support them in some way. So I went there and I bought gifts for the people when I came back, my families, because I had been gone for such a long time. And I bought this basket. And it has a big handle. And I knew I wanted it for, I wanted to put my knitting inside of it. So I'm not going to put my knitting into the basket without something in it. So I saw the lady there and she was making some fabric-y things for baskets. And I said, could you make me one for my basket? I said, I'm leaving in, at the end of the week on Saturday. I think this was Wednesday or Tuesday. And I said, could you make me one for this basket? And she goes, oh, yes. And I said, I'll pay now. I have no problem. I'll leave the basket so that you can do whatever you need to do, and I'll come back and pick it up. So before I left, before I picked out all my other things, she had showed me some lovely fabrics, and she pulled out this madras, which is a typical pattern for the islands. And I am like, that one right there, this one. I was like, oh my gosh, it was the perfect madras for me. So so she made it. I explained what I wanted. I wanted it to be tied so that I could undo it and undo it, the whole thing, and wash it if I needed to. And it ties on both sides, as you can see. And it was just perfect. It was just so perfect. I loved it. And so I brought this home. And when we were in the airport, I saw this, because the food in Dominica is different than I have here. And I really, really wanted to make some calabishi soup, callaloo soup, not calabishi. Calabishi is a city, a town. There's really only one city, and all the others are towns or villages. But it's just lovely in here. Big pictures of the food. And it's just awesome. I mean, and I wanted to, it had the several recipes for callaloo soup, and we love callaloo soup, so I bought the book. I didn't just knit while I was there. I belong to a group of ladies, and we have every last Friday, which happens to be this Friday, is wine and design. And we go to different people's homes. And when it was at my house, I think it was June or July, June, I think it was my turn. And so I had seen one of the girls when I was dropping off my niece to camp, one of the counselors working on a very large diamond painting thing. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I've never done that before. I don't think anyone else has done that before, because I've never seen it posted in our feed on Facebook. So I thought, you know what, we're gonna do some diamond painting. So I went on Amazon. I bought a whole bunch of diamond painting things. I went to Joann Fabrics and bought some extra pins and cups and stuff like that. So everybody had some. And for relatively cheap, $12, $10. You got like 9 to 10 of these little things that go into plants. So I got different kinds. I got little gnomes, little bee gnomes. I got frogs, butterflies, some flowers, birdhouse, and a little bee gnome. And it's really, really easy. I thought maybe in one of my next ones, I'll show you how to do it. It's really, really simple. It comes, the kits you can get on Amazon or at Joann Fabrics, or I'm sure Hobby Lobby or Michael's, have all of the things in there. There's a little tray. There's little beads that already come in the kit. You can also buy beads separately for bigger canvases. And it's like sort of like paint by number. Yeah. So there are numbers or letters on each one of these circles underneath, and you just put the bead where it goes. And you have this little pen that you load up with glue. It's kind of a gelish, kind of a hardish glue. You load it up, and then you go ahead and you pick up your bead and you put it right on there. Oh, and just so you know, it happened to me the first time. I'm like, these beads aren't sticking. Am I doing this wrong? I did not read the directions. You were supposed to peel there's a little acetate cover on each one of these things. So you have to lift the little sticky part off, peel it off, and then the whole thing is sticky. And then you literally, with that little pen, put each bead onto the circle, that corresponds to that color. So it's really pretty easy to do. I think that's about it. I wanted to I just wanted to get back with you all. I'm going to try to make this a weekly appearance now. And I hope that all of those people, couple of people that followed me before when I started this Knitting Concierge, that I'm back and you'll be seeing me knitting. I'm trying to knit through my stash. So the acquisitions that I do get will be to supplement whatever stash I have. And I have a lot of stash. Let's be real about that. My daughter's former bedroom, she is now 30 and she lives far away, and out on her own. Her bedroom is full of yarn. Bins of yarn. IKEA shelving full of yarn. I have yarn. So I'm really trying to knit through some of the things that I have. I have some lovely kits. I have some woolberry fiber that I want to knit. I have some Barrett Woolco I want to knit. I have some Knit Spin Farm I want to knit. I have Suburban Stitcher. I have her Fade Club that I want to knit into something really interesting. So I have a lot of things that I want to do. So stick with me and let's go on this knitting journey together, and I'll introduce you to things as I go along. Sometimes I will have books that I've read. Sometimes I'll share recipes for you. Sometimes I'll show you some other multi-craftual activities that I've been participating in. So I hope to see you next time, and give me a thumbs up and subscribe and do all those things. And mwah, 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 mwah. Talk to you later. Bye.